My name is Molly, and I'm turning 32 this year. I work as a salesperson at a company. My husband's name is Mike, and we went to high school together. This year is our 10th wedding anniversary. We started dating in high school and kept our relationship going, even when we went to different colleges. But we always loved each other, so we got married right after we graduated. Even though we dated for a long time before getting married, we still love each other a lot. Shortly after we got married, our first daughter, Kate, was born. She's turning 9 this year. Now, I'm pregnant with our second child, and I'm excited about having another baby after a while. But this time, I've noticed some big changes in my health that I didn't experience when I was pregnant with Kate. I've been feeling sick and really tired, which is new for me. Maybe it's because I'm getting older and it's harder to bounce back from being tired, even after I sleep. Or maybe it's because of all the stress from work and taking care of Kate. I thought about different reasons for feeling this way, but when I took a pregnancy test from the store, it showed that I was pregnant. When I was pregnant with Kate, I didn't have any noticeable changes in my health, so I didn't even know I was pregnant at first. But this time, the morning sickness feels much worse. It's been hard to deal with while working in sales and trying to keep up with everything else. But I worried that if my sickness kept up, it would start affecting my job. So I decided to talk to my boss and take some time off work. When I talked about it with my husband, Mike, he seemed surprised and worried. He remembered how things were when Kate was born and was taken aback by how much worse my morning sickness was this time. He said, "Your morning sickness seems really bad this time. You should take a break from work for a while." I agreed, saying, "It's worse than when I was pregnant with Kate. I'm not feeling well at all. I need to focus on my health and the baby's." I hoped that resting at home would help me feel better. But my sickness didn't ease up at all. It actually got worse each day. Even though I was at home, I couldn't do much. I spent most of my time in bed because I felt so sick. I wanted to at least do some chores around the house, but I couldn't even manage that. The smell of laundry detergent made me feel even sicker, so I couldn't handle it. At first, Mike seemed concerned, but lately he's been getting frustrated with me. He might be thinking, "Since you're not working, you should at least do the household chores, right?" I felt ashamed that I couldn't even manage simple tasks around the house. I felt bad for Mike, who was busy with work. Since then, he's been acting different. We used to hug every morning. But now things seem to have changed. Before, Mike used to give me a hug before heading to work. But now, he leaves without saying much. He's been really busy with work, often coming home late because he has to do extra hours. His job involves tasks like preparing documents, entering data, and making phone calls. Even though working extra hours was normal for him, he used to cut back after Kate was born so he could spend more time with her. We both used to work, and Mike wanted to help out more around the house to ease my workload. But lately, he hasn't been pitching in as much, and he's been doing overtime regularly. I think maybe me being on leave and us having less money coming in made Mike feel like he needed to work even harder to support us. Maybe he thinks I should do all the housework since I'm not working right now. But with my morning sickness, I just can't meet his expectations. One night, I finally gathered the courage to ask him for help. "You've been working so hard lately, especially since I've been on leave." "I'm sorry," I said. "Well, I have to earn more for the family, especially with the overtime," he replied. "I really appreciate it. I'm sorry I can't do much housework. The morning sickness is severe, and the smell of detergents and food makes me feel sick," I explained. "Really?" he asked. "Yeah, so can you please come home a bit earlier and help out with the chores? Once I feel better, I'll go back to work," I pleaded. Upon hearing my request, Mike looked clearly displeased. "Don't we have our own rules? I'm working hard, even with overtime, to support the family." I found solace in my daughter's reliability. Kay had grown into a kind-hearted girl, and I was genuinely pleased to see her willingness to help. Despite my efforts, the strained relationship with my husband persisted. He began leaving home early and returning late, with little communication between us. With the birth of our second child approaching, I started feeling anxious. Just when I thought our relationship was beyond repair, Kate shared some unexpected news. One evening, as soon as Kate returned from school, she said, "Mom, something's wrong." I recounted, concerned. "What's wrong? Are you hurt?" I asked, worried. She shook her head, indicating no, and said, "No, but I feel sick." "What happened?" I inquired, trying to soothe her. Kate hesitated, biting her lower lip before finally speaking. Tears welled up in her eyes as she revealed, "On the way home from school, I saw Dad and Abby's mom kissing." "Really?" I exclaimed, shocked. Abby was a close friend of Kate's, and it was evident that she was deeply affected by what she had witnessed. Unable to control her emotions, she sobbed into my chest. "Oh my God, calm down, honey." I comforted her, holding her close. In that moment, my husband, whom I had considered irreplaceable, became an object of hatred because of his affair. Unable to forgive his infidelity, I vowed to seek revenge. But to do so, I needed to gather thorough evidence. While my husband was away, I began investigating. I searched the rooms and was dismayed to find a large number of receipts that I had never seen before. My morning sickness made it difficult for me to clean up around the house, but I was determined to uncover the truth. I was furious at the disrespect I felt. He thought he could do whatever he wanted without consequences. As I examined the receipts more closely, I realized they were for expensive branded bags and accommodations. Whose money paid for these? I gasped as I remembered something. Despite my pregnancy and morning sickness, I was determined to confirm the truth. It had been a long time since I left the house, and going out like this was rare for me. Feeling unwell, I made my way to the bank, trembling with nervousness as I checked my passbook. There, I was confronted with a reality I wished I could avoid. Just as I suspected, it was from our joint account. Mike and I had opened it after we got married to manage our finances. We saved for our future and paid for our living expenses from this account. But it was also the account used for Mike's frequent purchases of designer bags on his credit card. Even more shocking was the revelation that despite claiming to work overtime, Mike's salary hadn't increased at all. His company was known for being employee-friendly, so his salary should have gone up with overtime hours. But it hadn't changed. At that moment, everything clicked. His late returns home were because he was having an affair with Abby's mother. It was clear that Mike hadn't been working the extra hours he claimed. While I was going through a tough time being pregnant and unwell, he hadn't offered any support and instead engaged in an affair, leaving me deeply disappointed. One evening, while Mike was in the bath, I determinedly took his smartphone. Trying not to alert him, my hands trembled with tension as I entered the passcode. And just like that, the phone unlocked. Perhaps Mike had let his guard down, thinking my severe morning sickness had made me less vigilant. The realization that he had underestimated me fueled my growing anger even more. As I kept my composure, I checked the contents of the smartphone. In the chat app, there were clear exchanges between Mike and Abby's mother, confirming their affair. "I told my wife I have overtime so we can meet tonight," Mike had written. "Really? Can we meet tonight? I can't wait to see you." Abby's mother had responded with a string of heart emojis. If I still had strong feelings for my husband, witnessing such betrayal would have driven me to madness. But now that I no longer harbored any love for him, I was able to focus calmly on gathering evidence. Looking at their recent text messages, I discovered they were planning a trip. It was scheduled for a week, starting from the weekend, with the intention of enjoying various hikes. Of course, my husband hadn't informed me about this trip. I was curious to hear what excuse he'd give on the day of the trip, so I waited patiently. Finally, the morning of the trip arrived. Despite it being a holiday, my husband was busy with preparations from early in the morning. "Good morning. What's got you so busy this early?" I asked, catching him off guard. "Oh, well, you see. What are you doing up so early?" he replied, trying to deflect. I woke up hearing some noise. "What's with the suitcase? Are you going on a trip?" I pressed. I have a company trip for a week starting today. I thought I told you. Just wait. I'll buy you a nice souvenir, he said hurriedly, attempting to cover up. As if on cue, Kate woke up too. She seemed curious about what was happening, and, with a slightly dazed expression, asked her father, "Dad, what's happening? Are you leaving?" "He's going on a company trip. He'll bring back a souvenir, so let's look forward to it." "Got it? Can't wait for the souvenir." "Take care," I interjected, with a forced smile. With our smiles, my husband left the house with a wry smile of his own. After his departure, we looked at each other and burst into laughter. Dad's voice was shaking when he lied. Anyone could tell if he was lying, Kate remarked between giggles. After sharing a good laugh, we began discussing our next steps. "Okay, I'm about to discuss something important. Listen carefully. I'm thinking of getting a divorce." "I believe it's crucial for you too," I said solemnly. Kate's response to the situation was mature beyond her years. She expressed her discomfort with having a father who cheated on me, and she empathized with Abby, her friend, who was likely going through a tough time too. Her concern for Abby's well-being showed her compassion and understanding. Abby's sudden disappearance and betrayal of her daughter's trust only fueled my determination for revenge. I felt strongly that there should be no compromise when it came to holding them accountable for their actions. With newfound motivation, I took decisive actions to protect myself and Kate. I canceled our credit cards to prevent my husband from spending any more money recklessly. I also transferred half of the savings from our joint account to my personal account to ensure a fair division of assets. We moved back to my parents' house, leaving behind the memories of our life with my husband. Kate's positive attitude during the move reassured me that we were making the right decision for our future. Discovering messages between my husband and Abby's mother, where they expressed their desire to be together, only solidified my resolve. I packed up my husband's belongings and sent them to Abby's mother's parents' house, along with the termination of our lease agreement. My husband's subsequent call, asking for money, only confirmed that my actions had hit their mark. Knowing that he couldn't use his credit card anymore brought me a sense of relief amidst the turmoil. Despite the challenges ahead, I felt empowered and ready to start a new chapter in my life, free from the betrayal and deceit of my husband and Abby's mother. It's easy to imagine that my husband's trip with his mistress was very tense for him. Despite his attempts to reach out, I ignored his calls, citing my severe morning sickness as the reason. 3 days later, I received another call from him, which I reluctantly answered. He was shocked to find the house empty and the lease terminated. "Why is the house empty? What's going on?" he demanded, his anger palpable. "Weren't you supposed to be on a trip for 7 days? Why are you back so soon?" I countered, revealing that I knew about his affair and had taken action accordingly. Realizing that I had found out about the affair and was divorcing him, he was visibly shaken. I ended the call and deleted all his contacts from my phone. With nowhere to go, my husband seemingly sought refuge at Abby's parents' house. There, Abby's mother faced severe reprimands from her husband and parents for her lies and affair. Both she and my husband were forced to sign divorce papers and pay compensation before being kicked out. Since returning to my parents' home, Kate and I have been living freely. My worries disappeared, and my morning sickness subsided, allowing me to return to work after my maternity leave. Kate enjoys spending time with her grandparents after school, and the divorce proceedings went smoothly thanks to the support of my lawyer and the ample evidence I had gathered. In order to secure my ex-husband's income, the divorce proceedings proceeded in my favor, allowing me to move forward with my life without the burden of his betrayal weighing me down. I demanded both compensation and child support payments from my ex-husband and sent a letter to his company, urging them not to let him resign. His boss, who was a married man with children, saw the letter and was furious. He negotiated with the company to deduct the compensation and child support payments from my ex-husband's salary. With his boss keeping a close eye on him, it seemed unlikely that he would be able to quit his job easily. My ex-husband was financially struggling because he had spent too much money on his mistress's lavish lifestyle. Losing his home, he was forced to live in a cheap company dorm, making it even harder for him to quit his job. Meanwhile, Abby and her father found peace. Abby accepted her parents' divorce and seemed to smile more compared to before. She told Kate that she genuinely enjoyed living with her father. Knowing that Abby was living a happy life brought genuine relief to my heart. Soon after, I gave birth to a lovely baby boy. The fact that my ex-husband couldn't hold my beloved son in his arms showed how foolish he had been. When Kate saw her adorable brother, she cheered with delight. Looking at both my beloved daughter and son's faces, I vowed in my heart to raise them well and provide them with the love and support they deserved.